Thought leaders, it's good to see you today. And we are going to be talking about how you can help your clients make career change a reality. We talked about, that they're doing a story, they're moving forward, they want to do that new thing, but how do they convince an employer that they can? And how do they actually get in front of those employers in that new field that they want to get into? So that's what we're going to talk about today, and specifically how they can use story and social to make that connection happen. So here's what I saw when we were having this conversation in our career jam last year, that one of our speakers, Marvin Smith, was talking about these new technologies that recruiters are using, that they go out and they can find individuals online, not just on LinkedIn, but anywhere that these individuals are online, and they're looking for specific criteria, right? They're looking for someone who's qualified to step in and do that role today. And the chat started to heat up from our colleagues around how challenging that is for career changers, right? If you're going to change careers, how can you make a change if recruiters are looking for people based on specific keywords and based in specific maybe audiences, professional associations, etc.? How can we help our clients make those connections? And I got to tell you that we've been talking about this for a long time, right? We're talking about how do we help people not just get found, which is so passive. And if you have been watching for a while, you know I'm very passionate about proactive career management. And so this whole idea of get found, although I understand the premise behind it and getting people's profiles set and ready to go is so important, they also have to be actively, proactively out there telling their stories, connecting the dots for employers, and not just waiting to get found. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So here's the setup. We've got a career changer. They're wanting to change industries or change roles. But if they are doing a good job with their online presence, it still might not be hitting the mark, right? Does it have the right keywords? Is it connecting? So we're going to go through 3 steps of how we help people connect. And the first one is about those keywords, making sure they know what those are and do their best to weave them in, even though they're making a change. The second is about storytelling, because everyone that these people pull up are going to have the keywords, but how do you engage them and how do you help them see your pivot point? So that plot twist, right? How do we help them get engaged in that and really be interested in moving forward with us? So that's the second piece. And then the third piece is, yes, you've got those 2 pieces set to get found, but now let's get active. And let's go out there and build relationships and make connections and get into the right communities and not sit around waiting to get found. So there's a huge splash recently on TikTok talking about how recruiters are doing more proactive recruiting. They're getting tons of applicants for jobs. Most of them aren't qualified. And they're doing a lot of proactive recruiting, going out there trying to find candidates. And the speaker that was talking about this point talked about how candidates need to get found. And I thought, oh man, she had this brilliant chance to be in front of thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And the pitch is to perfect your profile so you get found. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, we need to do that. But now you're going to have a lot of people sitting around wondering why they're not getting found. Maybe they've paid to get their profile updated, or they've, done some done for you or done with you or DIY, and they've gone and done that, but they're still not getting found. Perhaps because, one, they don't know where employers are looking, and it's not just LinkedIn. And 2, they may have done as good as they can to get the keywords in there, but if they haven't been doing the jobs, they still aren't likely going to rise to the top of those searches in place of the people who have been doing those jobs, right? So how do we get them to do a 1-2 punch? And instead of just worrying about getting found, they're also out there using the tools proactively to uncover and make relationships, because that's what they can be doing. And if not, they're likely just sitting around waiting to get found, which is not where we want them to be, right? We can do so much more than help them optimize their LinkedIn profile. Yes, we can do that, and we can do so much more. And it's going to be a benefit to us because we're going to be in an engagement with them for longer. And it's going to be a benefit to them because they're going to be taking a more proactive stance in their job search. So let's look at some of these tools. The first one is one that you've perhaps seen before. I've gone through it in a few lives, I've gone through it in some classes, but what I find is that people still don't know about it. So I have to remember that many of you are just finding me, or you may just be coming into this space. And if you've seen this before, you can share some tips and tricks that maybe I won't get to in the chat. That would be excellent. So feel free to say hello in the chat. I'd love to see where you're joining me from and if you've seen this tool before or not. So we are going to go to what is called LinkedIn Explorer. And LinkedIn Explorer is available for everyone. It's available, and it's a separate site from LinkedIn. You do not have to log in. You don't have to have an account. You simply go to this URL, and I'm going to copy the URL and I'll drop it here in front of you if I can figure out how to get my captions fast enough to do this without, oh, I already have it in there because we've talked about it before. This is an important tool when you're talking about getting found, specifically on LinkedIn, but it also gives you the types of keywords you would use on any social platform because it is specific to the titles and keywords that are prevalent on LinkedIn and therefore most likely what recruiters are searching. We can also do our keyword optimization and keyword research based on the position descriptions and titles, etc. And of course, we want our client to be overall targeted and have that good strategy before we dive into the specifics of the terms. So once they have that big picture strategy, they can come here to LinkedIn Explorer, and people always say, oh, how do you get there? This is the site when you first come on it, and all you need to do is scroll, and you're going to be scrolling for a long time because it gives you the directions. It walks through how the data is found. You can read that on your own time on a screen that you can read because you likely can't necessarily read mine right now. So it just is a scroll. It's a very long scroll on that page that's up there on the screen. And it will get you to this place where it talks about exploring transitions. Now, you can use this for exploring transitions, but it's not going to help you think very broadly because the transitions are really quite small. They're little steps, maybe a little step in industry or a little step in role. Might be helpful for some of our clients, but I don't necessarily see this as a career exploration tool until you get a few good ideas and you can come here and optimize them, getting more clarity on them. I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you now that we're down here at the place that we want to be. And we're looking at a specific job title. So after you do your scroll, you'll get to this place where you can put in a city and then you can put in a job title. This is the first place you want to pay attention. This job title field will tell you what job titles you want to get into your client's profile, their headline, their job title functions, their summary, their experience sections, anywhere that you can get these terms. Now, when you're working with a career changer, you may need to get these terms in a little more creatively, targeting these roles or also known as, if their title was a little bit different, making a transition to. I want to be as active and as clear as possible. I don't want to make it sound like that seeking a position in old school objective, but I do want to figure out how I can get the keywords in, the titles in that we're looking for in this field. So let's say I'm working with an engineer and no matter what field they want to go into, you're going to get some suggestions here of the words that they should use, the titles that they should use. So if they're transitioning into customer engineering, customer support engineering from a different type of engineering, you'll be thinking about, how can I get that word in there? How can I get those titles in there? Because those are the titles that recruiters are searching. And it's critical to get those titles into not just the headline, but into the title fields. The title fields are much neglected. Been preaching it for more than 7 years now, and it's still much neglected. There's still so much opportunity there for you to use those title fields beyond just maybe their existing title. You've got 100 characters there. It's almost as many as the old summaries. Use them. Use them to share what your client is targeting, all the different, variations of the titles that they might have had, so that you're filling in that section. Then once you pick their target title or titles, then the other sweet spot here is the skills. And it will show you the skills that are most important for these jobs on LinkedIn. You'll want to check that against the job descriptions that they're targeting. But boy, it gives you so much value to just see the skills list here. And you can see, let me see if it'll let me do this. Let's scroll. So I'm going to scroll down where I want it to. This list of skills keeps going, but I've got it blown up too big. So any job title, well, not any job title, because this is information pulled from LinkedIn. So if there's not enough people with a specific job title on LinkedIn, you won't get any data here. Then you've got, of course, the right side, which gives you other job titles that they might consider and how much of a match it is. These can be good for small moves, not going to be good for someone who's necessarily considering a career change, because they're not very differentiated, the suggestions on the right compared to the title that you put in on the left. So I love this tool. It's free. It's available to everyone. It's there for you and your clients to figure out what are the right job titles to put into the title fields, the summary, etc., and what are the right keywords to put into your skills section, your titles, your headline. You've got the kind of baseline, right? This is everything everybody else will have. It's important. It checks the marks. It will get them to show up in search results, hopefully. But it doesn't say how they're different. It doesn't connect the dots. It doesn't say, why does this person want to do that thing? This is becoming more and more important as we go through the Great Resignation and COVID aftermath, because companies don't want people to be having this top churn, right? And the churn has increased. And so recruiters are trying to find people who are connected to, why do you want to do this job? Why do you want to work for this company? And it needs to go beyond just the keyword match. The keyword match is important, but we can't stop there. So do this work and figure out how you're going to connect the dots at the keyword level for your clients. Check out this GitHub account link here. And then we have to take it to the next level. We have to connect those dots for the employer. And so we go through some different story types in our classes and our work, and they're not rocket science, right? The first one is discover. How did the person decide that this is what they wanted to do? And if they're making a career change, this can be a really powerful story. Why are they transitioning into this type of work or this type of industry? What is the pull? That pull is attractive. That pull is their brand. It makes it so they don't have to, quote unquote, sell themselves anymore, right? Because now they're telling that story. They're engaging people in their story and in their mission for why they want to do what they do. So that discover point is so important. Then you've got the drive, and this is why they do what they do. It's very similar to the origin story or the the first one, but it's that passion piece. It's, why do they do this every day? So the discover story might be why they decided to do it. And then the drive story is, why do they continue to show up every day? And what is that passion that they have for what they do? And not everybody might like the word passion, but what do they see as the purpose? How are they getting meaning from that type of work? And what interests them about that type of work? What fascinates them? Use the word that fits for your clients, but it's really about that emotional connection to why they do what they do. And we know that that emotional connection is so powerful, and helping them to get it come through in their materials will make it so much more engaging for people to connect with that story, right? To connect with, why do they want to do that? Then the third D is differentiate. And those stories are the ones that we're used to telling, this challenge action result or situation task action result, that prove our client can bring the value. They're specific to them. No one else can tell that story. So along with the other two, it's really going to differentiate them when we tell those accomplishment stories. How do we connect those dots? How do we tell the story in a way that speaks to the new industry or the new role? That's very important. If we just tell the story with the old age, they're not going to connect. The new reader is not going to connect. They're going to see them as being in that other spot. Sometimes these transitions can be, well, a lot of times they can be emotional for people, right? We're emotionally connected to that identity of where we came from. But if we continue to tell this story in that language, we're never going to sound like a fit where we're going. So no matter what story we're telling, but especially when we get to these kind of differentiate stories, the challenge action result stories we're used to, we have to make sure that they're told in that language of the future employer so that they connect and they make sense to that future employer. And then the last one is the why are you going to call me? It's that call to action. And this is what most profiles are missing, even when we're talking about the profile itself, is why would I connect with you? Who connects with you? How do I connect with you? And it can be a short little call to action. It doesn't need to be, hey, I'm looking for a job. It can be, hey, I love to connect with other people who are passionate about this issue, or I'd love to hear your ideas about this challenge, or whatever it might be that would engage people in a conversation and give them a reason to connect, and not just that profile sitting there, maybe even keyword optimized, but so might others be. How are you going to stand out, and how are you going to connect with that person to the point where they want to reach out to you? So we've got our 4 types of stories. We also want to think about, and I love, Deb Dib teaches our storytelling class with us. Let me pull that up. So this class starts on Thursday. If you want to become a better storyteller, you want to get these stories into your work with clients, this is the program for you. We give you the feedback on your work. We, Deb and Louise, so Deb and Louise Kurzmark teach this class, and they go out of their way to give you feedback on your work. One of our students recently said that this was like a master's in journalism, or that if their journalism teacher had been this thorough in their work and in the feedback, that this person, may have been an award-winning journalist. So this is that class, and it's going to go by here on the screen because that's the section that I guess I put it in. So when you're thinking about those stories, yes, you want to educate the person about who you are, right? You want to engage them in a conversation. You want them to understand who you are. You want to fascinate them, or you want to interest them. You want them to click on that, read more. And we talk about that, how do you lead off that LinkedIn section so that people want to click read more? And you need to activate them. They need to understand, what is the next step that I take if I'm reading your profile and I'm engaged. I'm thinking that, hey, you might be the right service provider for me, the right contractor for me to hire, or the right employee for me to bring in for an interview. So that was our second piece. The first one was, yes, you need the right keywords. Second part is, you've got to have some story. You've got to connect with the reader today. If it's just keywords, you're in the pool with everyone else, and there's no reason to reach out to you specifically. And especially for our career changers, to tell that story about why they're making that change, how they connect with that next step, that is critical if they're going to stand out from the crowd, and especially stand out from the people that may have already been doing this job for a while. Then the third piece is, let's get out there and actually take the tools and use them. So this is not, I'm going to get found. It's, I'm going to have the right content, but I'm going to go out there and the right platforms, in the right communities, so that I am not sitting around waiting to get found. I'm building relationships with recruiters. I'm getting seen from content that I'm posting. I'm engaging in the comments of posts in the communities where I need to be. Now, this takes a little bit of research because it isn't all on LinkedIn. Sorry, it isn't. You've got communities that are built and being formed and really engaging on other platforms. You have recruiters looking for, and we've got recruiters in every single class that we teach, which I love you. Thank you for our community who comes into these classes and shares. Recruiters in our classes are telling me that they are in Facebook groups. They're in Facebook groups engaging with potential candidates. Why? Because Facebook groups have action. Facebook groups have comments. LinkedIn groups don't. They're getting there. LinkedIn's trying to do some things to bring them back. But I see a lot of us and our clients doing a lot of work on platforms where our people are not necessarily there all the time. They're not there building relationships. Yes, they might go there to search, but then you're in the pool of everyone else. And isn't that what we tell them not to do? Whether it's sending in a resume or just optimizing their profile, it's the same thing. How could they get into the communities where they can actually engage and be part of the community, be part of the conversation, get known, not just get found? That's what we want to help them do. So we can help them do the research. Where are communities like you and your people or the people you want to be with? Where are they engaging? Is it LinkedIn? Is it LinkedIn groups? Is it Facebook groups? Is it on Instagram? Certain industries it is. Is it on Twitter? Awesome conversations going on with Twitter, not just, will or will not Elon Musk buy it. People are still there building communities, especially related to very deep interest groups, because that's what Twitter's really, that community platform for a lot of interest groups. Are they on TikTok? I don't know. But we can give you the tools and you can help your clients do the research. You don't have to know all these tools. That can feel overwhelming for us. You don't have to know all these tools. The process of doing the research on the tools is all the same. And the process of connecting on the tools is quite similar across the platforms. It's really just helping our clients do that research. One, first, perhaps getting out of our own box of where might this community be that my clients want to be in. Is it their professional association? Is it a Slack group, right? Slack groups are taking off. They can do that research, find their community, and then participate in those conversations on any platform in a very similar way. And you can help them do that. Then they've got their profile, they're giving themselves the best chance of getting found, but they're also getting known by getting out there and getting into the conversations that they need to be a part of. And probably not too surprising that we've been working on, and we delivered for the first time last fall. Last fall, for the first time, we delivered our social media for job search strategist. This is my little response to hearing so much about how people are getting found and talking about getting found. And yes, that optimizing your profile is so important, but let's actually help people use the tools. And we finally got it out there, put it all together. Our first class had an amazing experience on this, and it's going to start again in July. So July 13th, I believe. July 13th, we're going to start our social media for job search strategist class. And we'd love to see you there if you have interest in getting the tools that you need to actually help your clients take proactive action with their social media, in addition to having their profiles optimized. So we've got two things coming up for you. The storytelling class starts Thursday. Storytelling class starts Thursday. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'm happy to answer questions about that. And then the social media for job search strategist course will start July 13th. And both of those are open now. They're open for registration. Happy to answer questions. Like all of our classes, they'll be recorded. You can listen later. You get practical tools that you can use. You'll get feedback, and you can always engage with the community of people that come through our doors as you take these classes. So we look forward to seeing you there. And if you already have your own tools to do this, hope this gives you some community conversation that you can have with your clients to get them out there and getting found. Make sure they got the right keywords, getting into the getting into the story so that they can engage their reader, and then actually getting out there and starting to build the community that they need to be known and not just wait around to get found. We'll see you back here again next week for our Tuesday trend. And I'll probably I guess I'm going to be in the same place for the next few weeks. So we're in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, and I'll be here for a few weeks. So this is likely the background that you'll see. And then we'll share the news about where our headquarters is moving and where we're buying a house as soon as we are a little bit more secure with our contract there. Thank you, everyone. We will see you again next week.